Vitek here from Wani, and with us today we have Myles Kennedy of Alter Bridge. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing very well, thank you very much. How are you doing?
I am good. I just got the report that you guys have hit the charts. #1 in UK, #5 in Germany. So congratulations.
Wow, you know what? I didn't even know that. So you're the first. You're the first.
Yeah.
That's good news, man. I'm stoked.
Absolutely. Now, with each record, you guys have taken it, on an evolutionary basis. You guys have one step at a time. You guys have progressed, but you still respect the past sound, the present sound, and then you write something which blows everyone's mind. Every album you guys have done dominates the world in terms of music. I gotta ask you, how does it feel to ensure that every album that you guys unleash just creates an impact?
Well, that's heavy to hear, and that's very nice of you to say. I think that we just do our best to I guess make ourselves happy and to match the level of our own personal expectations. Mm-hmm. And so hopefully by doing so, we can also meet our fan base's expectations, because they certainly will make it known if we don't meet that criteria. But at the end of the day, I'll speak for myself personally. It's something I generally don't like. I generally don't read press or anything that's written about the band,
right,
or myself. I try to kind of live in a vacuum and ultimately just try and create music that gets me off and trying to get those goosebumps. So it's nice to hear that if it's resonating with people on a certain level, that's a wonderful byproduct.
Absolutely. With the new album itself, The Last Hero, it kind of makes me feel that you guys have, succeeded in respecting your past, owning your present, and fighting loud and large into the future. And, the way you guys have balanced the dynamics on this record is phenomenal. I kind of feel that you found that synergy and an absolute identity which is unique and cohesive, and obviously your own on this record.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you. That's very kind of you. I think that with The Last Hero, one of the things that our producer mentioned to me as we were about 3/4 of the way down with the album, he said, this record has elements of the previous 3 records of Blackbird, 83, and Fortress, but yet at the same time, you have moments where you definitely are shifting into a totally different gear. So I guess the good thing about that is that you have you kind of established your musical legacy, and your fan base tends to have, everybody has their favorite album, right? Someone comes say, oh, my favorite record's 83, or my favorite record is Blackbird or whatever. So with this record, I think because we touch on a number of those musical moments throughout our career, hopefully will make all of our fans will get something from this record. There's a little bit of there's something for everyone, hopefully, with The Last Hero.
Absolutely. And with the title itself kindly reflects the kind of heroism one should possess, and basically a sort of a unity that is, completely expressed throughout the album. Obviously, you've mentioned that this is not a political kind of an album, but with the current situation in the world in terms of what's happening regarding the environment and people fighting over religion and stuff, is this meant to be taken in such a way that people in general should unite and be brave enough to face the odds?
Well, I think if you get that from this record, that's wonderful. I can only express what was happening as far as the at the genesis of a lot of these songs. What was inspiring a lot of it was the climate of the world right now, and was, say, what was going on politically here in the United States. But with that said, it was more of a reflection. It was never meant to be some sort of political stance or some sort of political agenda. So all that's going to do is polarize people, and you're not going to. I think that's certain bands, certain artists do that very well. We choose not to be that band, but it certainly well within our MO at this point to reflect the emotions that we feel in looking at the current state of things. And so if people listen to this record and feel that, but at the same time also get a certain level of empowerment listening to these songs, and that would be awesome. That's a wonderful thing.
Absolutely. And you and Mark, the powerhouse of the band. I mean, it's come to a point right now where it's difficult to imagine, you guys are such a strong team together, and it reflects on this record very easily. And, it's kind of become like two brothers writing stuff together. I mean, I can give a simple example of a track like Poison in Your Veins. It's probably the best way to infect a listener in such a way how you guys have built that great songwriting camaraderie in terms of the guitar sound, the licks, the hooks, and obviously your voice as well.
Thank you. I think Mark and I, because we've been musical partners now for over a decade, and we understand each other, and I think the beauty of our partnership is that we're very different writers, and I think that when you put us together, it just creates something kind of unique to for example, writing Poison, the Poison song you were referring to, that's an example of two guys just getting together and the initial genesis of the song, the musical idea came from Mark, and then we would sit in the room together and say, hey man, why don't you try this? I'll put this guitar part over this and add this movement here and add this melodic approach here, and vice versa. And the same thing happens with other songs that I would bring into him. It's really proven to be a very effective way to write songs, because back in the 20 years ago when I first started writing songs, I was writing primarily by myself.
Right.
And so to be in a situation where I have somebody who I trust as a songwriter, like I do Mark, it's very liberating, and it helps just create good music, hopefully.
Indeed, it surely does. And with you on vocals, I'm not going to say anything, because there's a sense of feeling, a sense of emotion that bursts open when Myles Kennedy stands behind the mic. It's as simple as that. And I'm not the only one. Tons of people who feel the same. I mean, the chorus parts on this record, everything sounds like, a listener is afraid to miss even a moment. So that's sort of a tension being built into the record that you just can't, you have to focus. You kind of have to grasp this.
Well, that's great to hear. I mean, that, hopefully, when you start writing a record, you can only hope for a reaction like that. You can only hope that you're be a part of something that can captivate a listener. Because obviously it's a fast-paced world we live in, and people tend to have, like myself, short attention spans. So if you can create a body of work that is compelling enough to I guess kind of quiet down the world around you and allow you to just absorb that specific song or specific album for a period of time, then that's a really wonderful thing to hear.
Absolutely. Myles, how do you look at the entire journey altogether? Right from the time you were singing at the weddings, I remember the song Here and Now by Luther Vandross, to one of the best frontmen of all times in the rock history. How do you look at this journey when you go back 20 years ago and where you stand now?
Well, it's crazy to think that I if you would have told me 20 years ago that life turned out the way it has, I probably would not have believed you. I've always had very modest expectations from life. When I first started playing music, my goal was just to somehow, really teach it or just be a studio musician. I just wanted to play music or be a part of music to some degree with my vocation. And the fact that it's turned out the way it has, where I get to tour the world and make records with, these amazing artists and have an incredibly loyal fan base. I never never would have envisioned that. And I guess the reason it's probably life has turned out the way it has is I guess, just has been a certain work ethic that's always been there. And it's just the need to create and the need for self-expression has been so great in my life that maybe it's just through that kind of bullheadedness and not knowing anything else other than music that things have turned out the way they have. So I'm really, really grateful.
That's really good to hear, Myles. You guys are taking this album on road. Obviously, you've already been on road from the last couple of weeks. So how's it been in terms of the fan response live with let me say, Show Me Your Leader, or how many songs have you played so far from the album?
Well, right now we played Show Me Your Leader and we played My Champion.
Mm-hmm.
So that's, it's been great because we haven't toured together in a few years, and the thing about the Alter Bridge fan base is they're extremely passionate and they're extremely good to us. And so it's been nice getting back into the Alter Bridge saddle, so to speak, and getting to experience that firsthand, and just fans there with open arms. It's very it's a very special dynamic, and we're grateful for that.
That's really good to hear. Now with Mark also involved with his solo project, and he's singing amazing, man. I got to tell you that. And I was in fact thinking, when you guys were writing the vocal lines, did he kind of do any sort of backing in terms of on this record?
Oh yeah, he's definitely, and he's been singing backgrounds as long as I can remember. I mean, I think that was one of the things that we discovered early on, was that our voices blended really well together, because he has more of a baritone and I'm more of a tenor, so that has really worked out nicely. And I always knew that he could sing. I could never figure out. In fact, in the beginning, when we first started playing together, I was like, and he's a great songwriter, and I'm like, well, why do you need me? Why don't you just be the singer of Alter Bridge? I remember that crossed my mind at one point, but he at the time just didn't have the self-confidence, and so I've been really glad to see him in the last few years step out and show the world and show himself that he's more than capable of it. I think that's one of the best things about the whole Tremonti project, is not only has it highlighted to fans what he's capable of, but I think it's highlighted to himself what he's capable of, and that's important.
Absolutely, it is. You came to India specifically with Slash, which was probably one of the best experiences you have had. Mark is always wanting to come here, which has unfortunately not happened so far. So hopefully someday you guys get to come here and play for your fans.
Oh, I would love that. That would be just amazing. With Slash and Conspirators, we had such a fantastic time there, and just the level of passion from the rock fans there was pretty mind blowing. So, in fact, I've been talking to the guy to the Alter Bridge camp about that. So we would love to make that happen if we can.
Hopefully, then. Before we conclude, how about you describe the sound of the album in just one sentence?
Ooh, that's a tough one. Well, I would say The Last Hero is a dynamic record, and that definitely explores the concept of the hero and the need for and pays tribute to the heroes and leaders. And I'm doing a really bad job. That's a tough question, but I think ultimately it's just we try to make a very dynamic hard rock record that people connect with emotionally.
Absolutely, Myles. It was a great time having a chat with you. Good luck with and obviously you're gonna get more charts, so I'm sure you're gonna smash them in States as well. So good luck with that on tour. Obviously, I'm gonna catch you live on tour. So thank you again for sparing some time.
Thank you, Vitek. Appreciate it, man.